Hey everybody. In class today, remember we worked on solving two-step equations. Tonight we're going to take it up to the next level and we're going to start solving multi-step equations. These are equations that can have really any number of steps. But to solve these equations, we're going to use the tools that we've already learned. We're not learning anything new to do these. The first step when we're solving equations like this is we always want to make sure everything is simplified before we start solving. Our tools that we can use to do that, remember, are the distributive property and combining like terms if we need to. Once we've simplified everything, then we start solving by using the inverse operations. We undo the addition or the subtraction, and then we undo multiplication and division. So these are very similar to two-step equations. We just need to make sure we simplify before we solve. In our first example here, we have 4 times 3x plus 2 equals 80. I'm going to start, as I always do, drawing my line through the equal sign. Now, in this case, I'm looking at my left side. I need to simplify this expression. I have 4 times 3x plus 2. Now, to simplify this, we can use the distributive property because we have 4 times that expression inside the parentheses. So that means we're going to do 4 times this first term, and we're going to do 4 times the second term. 4 times 3x is 12x, and 4 times 2 is 8. And this equals 80. Now there's nothing I need to simplify on the right side. 80 is just 80. There's nothing we can do to make that any simpler. Now, after doing the distributive property, I just have a two-step equation. So I'm going to go down to number 2 here. We're going to solve it. We're going to undo the addition first. We have that plus 8. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. That gives us 0. We have 12x equals 72. And now I need to undo the multiplication. That's 12 times x. I'm going to divide by 12. So I get x equals 72 divided by 12 gives us 6. X equals 6. This next example is pretty similar. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure both sides are simplified, and then we're going to solve it like a two-step equation. Now, on the right side, I have negative 32. There's nothing we need to do over here. On the left side, I have negative 3a minus 8 plus 7a. Now, I don't have any parentheses, but I do see a couple of like terms. This negative 3a and this positive 7a are like terms. I can combine those. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4. So I'm going to have 4a minus 8 equals negative 32. Nothing happens to this negative 8 here, this minus 8. There's nothing to combine it with, so it stays negative, and we still leave it, minus 8. Now, everything over here is simplified. We combined our like terms. Now we just need to undo the subtraction this time, that minus 8. So, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. That's how I undo subtraction. I have 4a equals negative 32 plus 8 is negative 24. 4a equals negative 24. Now we are going to undo the multiplication here. We divide by 4, divide by 4, and we get 1a equals negative 6. Sometimes we're going to need to use multi-step equations to solve geometric problems. In this case, we have a rectangle that has a perimeter of 26, and I want to know the length of each side. So I have this rectangle already drawn. I'm going to want to label my other sides here because I'm looking for the perimeter. Remember, the perimeter is the distance around the outside of the rectangle. So to find the perimeter, I need to add up all 4 sides. So when I write my equation, it's going to look kind of long. It's going to look like this. X plus x, those are my right and left sides, plus my top and bottom sides, x plus 5 plus x plus 5. So those are all four sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, and all four sides added together equals 26. Now that I have an equation, I can go about solving it. Draw my line through my equal sign. Now over here on the left, I'm going to have to combine some like terms. I have these x's here. I have four 1x's, right? 1x plus 1x plus 1x plus 1x. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, that gives me 4x. And I have 5 plus 5, that gives me 10. So this long equation we had up here is now just 4x plus 10 equals 26. Now, it's a two-step equation. We know how to solve this. We undo the addition by subtracting. 4x equals 16. And now we undo the multiplication by dividing. Divided by 4. 1x equals 4 is our solution. Now, we found x equals 4, but we got to take into account what this problem is actually asking us to solve, right? It says find the length of each side. So we found x. We know what the width is. X equals 4. But we also need to find what the length is. Now if I know x is 4, this becomes 4 plus 5, and 4 plus 5 equals 9. So we have 4 and 9 for our width and our length in our rectangle. Alright, in our next problem, we have a rectangle that has an area of 21. So instead of knowing the perimeter this time, we know the area, and once again, we want to find the length of each side. Now, we already know one of the sides is 7, and the length is x minus 2. Now, since we know that the area is 21, that's going to help us figure out how our equation should look. Now, I know that the area of a rectangle equals the width times the length. So my width is 7 and my length is x minus 2. I'm multiplying these two, and that's going to equal the area of the rectangle, which is 21. Now I can solve this equation. I'm going to draw my line through my equal sign. Now to simplify this time on the left, I have to use the distributive property. So I'm going to multiply 7 into the parentheses, 7 times both terms. 7 times x gives me 7x. 7 times negative 2 gives me negative 14. And this equals 21. Now we have a two-step equation. After simplifying, we're going to undo the subtraction by adding 14. 7x equals 35, and now I will undo the multiplication by dividing. 1x equals 5. So to find both sides, I already know that one side is 7, and I can put x equals 5 in to the length. 5 minus 2 equals 3. So my lengths are 7 and 3 in this rectangle.